Hello, welcome to the video. I don't know who's watching this. You could be my mother, you could be my brother who the video is for, or you could be a random person on the internet. If that's you, if you're the random person on the internet, I'm gonna need to see some ID. I've got a list. If you're not on the list, I can't let you in. Rules are rules. This is a video that I made for my brother's birthday. His name is Cyrek. If you don't know who Cyrek is, you can just look him up using his social security number, which I have right here. Just don't do any fraud, okay? Now the idea of this video is that I'm speedrunning the Minecraft seed Cyrek with the goal of getting a sub 10. And in that run, I also need to hit what's called a 0 cycle. If you're a speedrunner, you probably know what that is. But if you don't, here's a quick rundown. As soon as you spawn into the end, the dragon starts along a path. He's on a path to reach a certain XY coordinate. At those coordinates, he needs to reach a certain Y level, which is his height. Now, he is contractually obligated by Minecraft itself to do this before he can do anything else. Once he hits that height at those coordinates, he can go on about his merry day. But until he does so, he can't do anything else. So the goal of a 0 cycle is to kill him before he can do so. Is it humane? Who cares? It's quick and it's inhumane, like a ninja working at an animal shelter. Now, the difficulty of a given 0 cycle depends highly on the seed, but we'll talk more about that later. As for now, we're just going to go ahead and jump into things. So I booted up my first run and had a look around. And now I would like to introduce you to Cyrek. At first glance, Cyrek seems pretty normal, basic even, but as soon as you get to know him, you see something very beautiful and very rare. Right off of spawn is one of the rarest biomes in the game, a mesa plateau, also called a badlands biome. And this one really is something to look at. But it's not just any regular mesa plateau. In this very biome is one of the rarest subbiomes in the game, which is called a modified wooded badlands plateau, with an average world cover percentage of only 0.03%. To put that into perspective for you, a forest has an average world cover percentage of almost 10%. And to add on to it, this mesa leads right into a beautiful jungle. But beauty has absolutely nothing to do with speedrunning. So, here is where we spawn. Over here is the closest lava pool where we're going to build our portal, and here's where we're going to get our food. The iron that we need for our bucket and our pickaxe is in the ground here. So, if I'm being honest, this overworld is not the best for speedrunning. The best possible nether entry that we can get, and mind you, this is a set seed, is like 3 minutes. And considering the fact that we're looking for a sub 10 completion, that's almost a third of our time already. But let's take a gander at the nether. Thankfully, Cyrek has an above average nether region. It's a solid 7.5 out of 10, that is. In between us and the bastion is a massive lava lake with some terrain to the side. The terrain's what we're going to use to get there. Now, the bastion and the fortress aren't super close to each other, but since we're going to have pearls by the time we're heading to the fortress, really the only thing that matters is that there's a lot of open air and just enough terrain to land our pearls on. And in this way, it's absolutely perfect. So the only problems in the nether are the hike to the bastion and the fact that it's a treasure bastion. Now it was time to start our first run. I wanted to see how quickly I could beat the seed while knowing nothing about it. So basically everything that I just told you, I didn't know when I did this run. Here's how it went. I took a look around and punched some wood, and then I crafted my tools, found a cave, mined up the iron that I needed, almost died to some skeletons. I then got out of the cave, lit myself on fire, lit some pigs on fire, and then I mined down to find a lava pool where we were going to make our portal. Once I had gotten it lit and was in the nether, I used E-ray to find the location of the bastion. Here is the route that I took to get to the bastion. Needless to say, it was another 3 minutes before I actually got there. But once I was at the bastion, all I needed to do was mine up all the gold and trade it with the piglins. Once they gave me everything I needed, I was on my way to the fortress, which is represented by the blue piece of this pie chart here. Now that I knew the direction of the fortress, I threw a few pearls to get there, got there pretty quickly, and I wish I could say it welcomed me with open arms, but it welcomed me with 2 skeletons, a hoglin, and a wither skeleton. After hitting this cool block clutch, I started blaze slaying. It was like whack-a-mole. Blazes were dying left and right. If they were Tartar men in the 13th century, then I was Genghis Khan. If they were US soldiers, then I was America's need for oil. If they were scientists that had found the cure for cancer, then I was the FBI. My last blaze rod fell off the cliff, so I boated off the edge, like Columbus in an alternate reality where the earth is flat. I then totally made this jump, and you have no proof that I didn't. And by now, I had gotten everything I needed out of Cyrek's nether region, so I was out of there. Rain, you know what I'm talking about. Once I got out, I threw a couple of eyes to triangulate the location of the stronghold, and I was on my way. Now, if you don't know, nether travel is 8 times faster than overworld travel. What this means is that if your stronghold is at 800, 800, and you build a portal in the nether at 100, 100, once you go through it, you'll be in the stronghold. So, I went to build my second portal, and because I'm an epic gamer who is absolutely so good at Minecraft, once I went through it, I was in this or a cave, or I death reset to get back to full health. After some quick looking around, an unsuccessful preemptive attempt, and some good old-fashioned stronghold navigation, I found the portal room and filled in my eyes. I spawned into the end and made my way to the fountain to set up for the 1 cycle. Here, I'm trying to get an ender pearl so that I can get to the fountain quicker in case the dragon purges. The reason this is helpful is so that I can avoid what's literally about to happen. From the time it took me to run over there, the dragon had already gotten so low that I needed to use my first of only 5 explosives just to knock him back up. It wasn't going to do much damage, since the only time explosives really do damage is when they explode right underneath the dragon's head. And if I were to wait for him to rotate fully around so I could do that, he would have been too low and it would have broken the bed and the 1 cycle would have been over. So I used my first bed just to bump him back up and then waited too long to use my second one. At this point, I could no longer 1 cycle until the dragon purged again, and I only had 4 explosives left, which made it difficult, but not impossible. I probably should have just given up here. But, your boy is not a quitter. So, I waited until he purged again, and now you can enjoy the 1 cycle. Or, So it turns out I didn't beat the seed. Itty what itty. Itty what itty. Well, now it was time to scout the seed and make a route. I started looking around and checking nearby structures, but eventually I decided that the best route was going to be a simple one. I'll skip most of this since you guys already know the seed pretty well, but I would like to take this opportunity to complain about a few things. First off, every treasure bastion has 3 guaranteed chests. The luck aspect of those chests is how much obsidian they contain. Every treasure bastion also has somewhere between 4 and 8 chests that either exist or don't, depending on your luck. The bastion we're working with has 0 of those luck-based chests, and the total amount of combined obsidian from the 3 chests is 0, which meant we were going to have to get really lucky in our piglin barters. Now it was time to figure out where we were going to build our portal. Since this is set seed, we only need to build 1 portal, which means 10 obsidian. We just need to know where to build it. The way I went about figuring this out is I kind of reverse engineered it. I built a portal in the overworld, in the stronghold where I wanted to be, went through it, found its nether equivalent, made a new world, and built that nether portal to check to see if it worked and put us where I built the first portal. But it never worked, no matter how many times I tried. And trust me, I tried. But eventually, I found a portal that would put me in a cave right above the portal room. I know I'm saying portal a lot, just bear with me. All I needed to do was dig down into it, which worked just as well. So now the only thing left to scout was the end dimension. Now remember, we need to hit a 0 cycle, which means we need to tower up to the dragon before he flies off. But as soon as I spawned into the end, I saw a problem. We have an overhang. Ideally, this is what your end spawn looks like, completely clear. That way you can throw a quick and easy first pearl, and a quick and easy second pearl right up the side of the tower, getting you to a decent height within seconds. But again, this is what our spawn looks like. So we need to throw a much more accurate first pearl. If it's too high, it takes forever to land, and if it's too low, this happens. Then, we have another problem. The tower that we need to scale up the side of is literally the shortest possible tower we could have gotten, which means the most time sensitive. So we need to hit another perfect second pearl. And even if we do all of these things absolutely perfectly, 9 times out of 10, by the time we get to our setup height, the dragon will have flown off already. So, the goal of getting a 0 cycle was looking close to impossible. Not fully impossible, just close. Now, the routing is finished. I'm going to showcase the full route in the final run here in a minute, but I want to cover 3 more things before then. First off is a concept. It's how the flashy, skillful technique, although it looks cooler, is often very unnecessary and even slower than just sticking to the basics. To showcase this idea, here's the part of my run where I set up to throw my first pearl. Here's what I did in the beginning. And here's what I ended up doing that was actually much quicker. To showcase my second idea, I have 16 recordings of the same part of my route starting on the same exact tick, but they're going to finish at different times. The reason I'm showing you this is to get through to you the idea that even on the most consistent part of my run, this is a part of my route where it's almost impossible to actually mess up, it's going to result in different time saves just because of minor mechanical imperfections, such as moving my mouse too far in my inventory or misclicking. Now, the last thing I want to show you is a compilation of some of my favorite deaths. Now, a lot of runs died without me actually having to die. For example, in a lot of runs, the portal just wouldn't light on time, but that's not very fun to watch. So here are some of my actual deaths, starting with the times I died in the overworld. I also died a million times to this jump. I didn't die too many times around the fortress, but here are a few times I did. And this one's definitely the best. Bro thought he was safe, and the Bastion is where the overwhelming majority of my deaths took place, as you can imagine. And finally, I had 2 hilariously skill-issued deaths while attempting 0 cycles. Now that that's over with, I'm going to show you the final run. I won't tell you whether or not I actually completed both of my goals. I'll just let you figure that out yourself by watching it. Now, a quick disclaimer. This video's been pretty fast-paced up until this point. I've done a lot of editing, but I want the final run to stand alone for what it is. So even though there's going to be a lot to take in if you're really paying attention to what's happening, it's going to be a significant change of pace regardless. I'll put some music over it, but I won't shorten it with edits, and I'm not going to commentate over it. I would also like to say before the run starts that I was unhappy with some mechanical mistakes I made. I fumbled my keys around in my inventory more than I normally do, and in the beginning of the run, my mouse literally ran off of the mouse pad. But as much as I would like to point out all of my mistakes to you, I will refrain from doing so. So, finally, here's the run that I worked so hard for.
That's our own.
Did I do it? 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 Yes! Yes! I did it. Cyrek, I love you, bro. I know that you probably question it sometimes, but I really do, always have, and always will love you. You will always be my brother. I hope that you can watch this video anytime you start to question how much I really care about you. I love you, bro. And to anyone else who watched this video, thank you so much for watching. Peace. In hopes that it would put me where the forced portal was. Forced? Not fully impossible, just close. Yes!